there, and thanks for listening to the Adulting is Easy podcast, where we make adulting easier by making money easier. This is your host, Lauren, and I'm joined today by Brett Holzhauer, a self-proclaimed personal finance nerd. He currently works at Biz2 Credit, where he is a senior writer. Before that, he was a personal finance reporter at CNBC and Forbes. Along the way, he has been on his own financial journey as well. He successfully paid off $80,000 in student loan debt while buying his first home in South Florida in 2022. He bought his first investment property in 2023 and is currently under contract for a second one. When he isn't money nerding, he's watching college football or getting a tan on the beach. Thanks for joining me, Brett.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren. This is my third time on the show, so I'm super stoked.
You're my only three-time guest so far, and I will, by the way, guys, recommend those other episodes as we go along here as well. So our goal for today is to make adulting easier for listeners by discussing a personal finance topic, since managing money is the big part of adulting. So today, Brett, we're going to talk about credit card rewards.
This is
And
definitely my expertise, so I'm very excited to talk about it. I've been
I
doing it
know
for 13 years now, almost, so definitely been around the block a little bit.
I was thinking about your bio. I was like, hey, that was the first episode I did was about the student loan debt. We talked about buying that investment property. And that when we talked last, you were like, hey, by the way, I have like a billion credit cards and I know a lot about them. I was like, all right, put a pin in that. And we are back for that now. So
Yep,
I,
close to a billion credit cards.
yeah, I want to start very basically though. And I always do this for better or for worse, but like literally, what's a credit card?
So, a credit card is essentially a piece of plastic that a bank gives you as a form of trust that you have a right to spend on it up to a certain amount with the promise that you're going to pay it back. And it's instant money basically in your pocket. So, if a lender issuer gives you a $10,000 credit line, as soon as you get that piece of plastic, you have $10,000 to spend. Now, that is where many people get caught in credit card debt as they go spend more money than they actually have, which we will obviously get into. But credit cards really are the main source of payment for most Americans now, again, for better or for worse. And they're almost an essential part of being an American now. If you want to go get a car rental, you basically have to have a credit card at this point. Same thing if you want to go get a hotel room, they want to have that piece of plastic, that guarantee that you are going to be able to pay some form back to whoever it is that you may owe money to. So that's it in kind of a nutshell.
So you said for better or for worse. Let's go with some of the better first. What are some of the good things about credit cards?
Yeah, so the best parts about credit cards is that you have instant cash flow in your pocket as needed. So if an emergency comes up, your tire goes out, you need to go to the vet on an emergency run, you have that money right away. So that's a huge plus. Another one is the consumer protections and rewards. So consumer protections being, for example, if you have a travel credit card and you go rent a car, you may or may not have rental car insurance. If you fall and break your leg while you're traveling, you may be covered as well. And then obviously the rewards are the big part that millions of Americans participate in. So really, again, the lenders want you to spend on these products. They want you to be protected, but obviously you need to do your due diligence to avoid falling into credit card debt, which millions of Americans unfortunately deal with, and it can be a real financial trap.
Yeah, so that's the main downside, right? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, credit card debt is really the poison of personal finance. If you're in any form of credit card debt that's not on a 0% card, get out of it immediately. There's no way to justify it any way, shape, or form. And I think we're at over $1 trillion now of credit card debt in America, I believe. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But if you're in credit card debt, it's just a no-win situation, and it's something that needs to be avoided. Now, the one caveat I will give that, again, I need to eat my own cooking. I do have about $5,000 on a 0% credit card because I had to purchase a new air conditioner, which again, a brand new air conditioner, $7,500. I didn't have $7,500 right then and there. So I put it on a credit card, 0%. I'm making my monthly payments, and then I'm going to roll that balance over. So I never pay a dime of interest. So again, there's that one caveat of emergency needs on a 0%, but other than that, keeping a credit card balance is a full lose game.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that we have as much credit card debt as we do like student loan debt at this point in
Hmm.
this country. Like, but people talk about student loan debt all the time, but not a lot of people even talk about the credit card debt. And I don't have any credit card debt. We do have, well, no, that's not true. We almost always have for our different rentals some kind of appliance payment for like my
Hmm.
husband has a Best Buy credit card. So because it's always 0%. And so we always are just paying like $200 a month on some set of appliances, it seems.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. And then we have twice in the past, we have financed structure work on
Hmm.
rental properties. And we just did it for a year, but even 0% for a year is great. And especially when you're first buying a property, it's like maybe you're doing a lot of remodeling and you're like, okay, I'll pay this. One of them was 17,000, one was $26,000. I'll pay it in a year. And we just did that also with a jacuzzi as well. We just did
Ooh.
0% for 12 months. Why not? So,
Yep.
I have done that before. Certainly. The thing is, if you do not pay it off by then, at least in the case of what I'm talking about with the structure payments or this jacuzzi thing, you owe all of the interest for the last 12 months at the same time, which is like, I think the fine print said like 24% or something. It's
Yep.
like
So
really high.
will backtrack all of the interest that you have avoided and slap you with it on the back end. So if you were going to go the 0% route, I have like four reminders on my calendar
Yes.
and it's like
Yes.
dug into my head that December of next year, so December 25, before I think December 6th, I think it is, I have to transfer or pay off that balance in full. Likely I'll just pay the balance off in full, but I do have the option to roll it over to another credit card. So if there's a great credit card out there, I might just roll it over, especially if there's a nice sign-on bonus. But um, you know, it's a game just like anything else, and if you lose the game, it can be pretty expensive. And again, I have a lot of theories and quirky sayings when it comes to credit cards, but again, like anything personal finance, you need to adapt it to who you are, what your spending needs are, and just do it responsibly.
So talk more about that. Like, what's a good credit card? Like, if you have to, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll pay it off, or maybe if there's a good card, I'll do that. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so to step all the way back, the way that consumers need to look at credit cards is this. They're like fireworks. If you play with them responsibly, it can be a beautiful show. If you abuse them, they're going to blow up in your face. That's the best kind of quirky line I've found when it comes to using credit cards. And again, I've made my fair share of mistakes. I'm sure you have too. I'm not perfect by any stretch, but I've earned millions of points and miles. I've traveled for free for years. I've written for the points guy. Like I'm very well versed in this. I've worked with credit card issuers on branding and programs. So I'm very much in the know when it comes to these products. And what consumers need to always remember when selecting a card is to reverse engineer. So start with your end goal in mind. And there's two frameworks. One is I'm just trying to save money. Great. Get a cashback card. Pretty simple. If the other goal is I'm looking to travel for free, okay, great. Find a card that's going to get you to where you want to go. So if you want to go to Thailand, for example, find a credit card that has airline partners with an airline that flies to Thailand, or I want to go stay in a over the water bungalow in the Maldives. Okay, great. Find a hotel that has properties there and start earning those points and working backwards from there. And so to answer your question, what's the best credit card? There isn't one. It's the best credit card is the best credit card that works for you, your spending habits, your wants, your needs, your goals, et cetera, et cetera. So there is no best credit card.
What kind of other rewards are there other than the cashback, like you just mentioned, or the like travel rewards?
Yes, I mean, really, those are the two big ones. Uniquely, my girlfriend is a renter, so she earns rewards through Built, and I think Built is one of the best credit cards out there if you are a renter. Historically, if you pay rent with a credit card, you have to pay all these additional fees. Sometimes it's not even accepted. But what Built has done is that you can earn rewards that can then be transferred to different airline partners, different hotel partners, based on one of the biggest bills that a renter likely has. But to get back to again cashback travel rewards, there's two different types of travel rewards as well. Within that, there's transferable rewards and then there's direct rewards. So if you have a Delta credit card, when you spend on it, you're in Delta rewards. Same thing with American credit card, Hilton credit card, etc. With a transferable card, so let's say the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is my favorite, you can transfer those points to a number of different airlines and hotel partners, and that's where you're going to get some of the best value. So if you're unsure of where you want to travel or how you want to travel, a transferable card is your best bet. But again, if you want to travel to one specific Hilton hotel in Hawaii, then a Hilton credit card might be your best bet.
Got it. What about annual fees?
Annual fees, just like any other financial product, they need to be weighed. I just got charged my $95 annual fee, I think 2 days ago for my Chase Sapphire Preferred, but I get a ton of value out of the card. So the features and the points that I earn from the card justify the annual fee. So I'm very much in favor of annual fees, but again, just like anything else, use at your discretion. There's the Amex Platinum, which I think is at $695 a year at this point, and really it's just a virtue signal kind of card because there's just so many benefits you have to keep track of, and it's really just to think you're a lot cooler than you actually are. I've had the card before, and it was fun to have it for a short bit, but generally, I think there's a law of diminishing returns. Like my Chase Sapphire Preferred is one of the best cards, if not truly the best card out there, and it's $95. So you get the best bang for your buck with some of these more mid-tier cards. So that's what I always try to aim for, is not really the $0 cards, but also not the super ultra luxury expensive cards. It's the ones right in the middle that really deliver the best value, in my opinion.
That was one of my questions that I have on my list here for you is how do you track this stuff?
So it's funny. So for context, I've had over 100 credit cards since I turned 18. I'm turning 31 later this week. And I've canceled a ton of cards. I've had a ton of cards. I've had strategies where I've had 7 credit cards in my wallet at once. Right now, I'm just using one card for everything, just purely out of simplicity. And I never really had a good way of tracking until recently. Again, thank God for my girlfriend. She's an Excel nut. And so she built me like this Excel spreadsheet of all the cards that are currently active. And I have, you know, buttons and lists and all sorts of cool tools that are way above my pay grade. And really at this point, I think I have 17 cards open. Now I only use 1 or 2 at a time, just purely for simplicity. But I'm also earning sign up bonuses as I go. So my strategy currently is this: I put everything on my Chase Sapphire Preferred, completely everything, because the points are great. I'm going to Spain on Wednesday, so I have full travel insurance throughout the entire trip. And then if I get a card that I can earn a sign up bonus on, like the United Business card, I just got 80,000 United miles. I will pay the card off in full, and then I'll just put it away and just continue spending on my Chase Sapphire card. But specific story that I'm actually about to publish on one of the websites I write for, Upgraded Points, is I was in Denver for a wedding and there was a massive hailstorm. My rental car was not totaled, but it was totally damaged. It had about $7,000 in damage and I paid nothing out of pocket. Why? Because I had credit card insurance. Simply by putting the rental car on the right credit card, and when something goes awry, Chase will step in and take care of it. So that's a big reason, especially as a traveler, that using a credit card is just a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really important there. So, question about the 100 cards thing. In order to get a credit card, they run your credit. Okay.
Yes.
That may seem very basic, but so like is it generally good for your credit, bad for your credit to have like a ton of different cards and opening them and closing them and all? Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. So the way I've tried to phrase it, it's like little dings in the side of a car, but it doesn't really hurt the car itself. So for context, my credit score has gone up and down. I think everyone kind of goes through ebbs and flows in their life, but I have an 800 credit score. I pretty much hover right around there. If I apply for a new card, I'll lose 5 points. I canceled the card today. I'll probably lose 7 points and it just goes right back up. So I think people make way too big of a deal out of, oh, should I cancel this card? Should I keep this card? Like, you're going to lose 7 points. If your score is above 750, it's cheddar. It really doesn't matter. So if you lose 7 points, 10 points, you gain 4 points here. Just do the big things, right? Pay your credit card off on time. If you want a new card, just go get it. It's these small little moves are not going to make a significant difference. Now, if you have bad credit and you have foreclosures, medical debt, overdue student debt, those are the big ones to take care of. But these small, minuscule moves are not going to make any difference. If
Yeah,
you're going to go get a loan, if you're going to go get a credit card, what have you.
that makes sense. Do the big stuff right. All
Yep.
right, so you have 17 cards. That's the right number for everyone. Everyone should have 17 cards.
Definitely not. No, I think everyone should have 1 to 2 cards. The reason I think truly everyone should have 2 cards on them: number one, if you lose one, obviously you have a backup card. If one declines for some reason, you don't want to be just reliant on one card. But my strategy of putting everything on one card is truly just out of simplicity. I know people that have 6 cards that, get higher tiers on every single purchase every single time, and they have it down to a science. I've done that. too much work for me. My brain's in so many other different directions. I don't want to worry about, oh, which card am I going to put my Starbucks on? I don't have time for that. So I have one good card. I put everything on it. And when I want to travel somewhere, I just go to my Chase points. Hopefully I can get a transfer partner, and I just keep it as simple as that. But also with like any financial product, you shouldn't be overly loyal to it. So again, if a better card comes up, I'll switch. If I find a sign up bonus that I want to go chase after, I'm going to spend on that card. So again, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I think, is the best bang for your buck, but that doesn't mean I'm overly loyal to it in any regard.
When you apply for a credit card, they
Mm-hmm.
tell you what you can spend on something. Like, I mean,
Yes.
like how much you have.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? And are you over time, are they giving you more credit? Are you asking for it? How are you
That,
handling that?
yeah, that's a very good question. So you apply for a credit card. Let's say they give you a $7,000 credit line. Great. It's good for your daily purchases, what have you. Let's say you're purchasing a $7,500 air conditioner. Well, wait, I only have $7,000. Well, what do I do now? You can talk to the lender and just say, hey, can I get a credit line increase? More times than not, if you are a good customer, they're just going to give you the credit line because they want you to spend more money on the card because that's how they make money and hope. And from their perspective, they want you to be in credit card debt and so on and so forth. So they are incentivized to give you more credit line if you are a good customer. The way that I've kind of structured it is this way. So I have, I think, three personal cards and two business cards with Chase currently. And let's say I want to cancel a Chase personal card, let's say, for example, because an annual fee came up, I just no longer need the card. What I do, so let's say my Chase Sapphire Preferred has a $10,000 credit line, the other Chase card has a $7,000 credit line, and I'm canceling the $7,000 credit line. I will tell Chase, hey, send this credit line to my Chase Sapphire card so they can do up to anything up to $1,000 left of credit line. So I'll get $6,000 over here. So that means my Chase Sapphire Preferred has $16,000 in credit line. And then this remaining one has $1,000. And then I go ahead and cancel it. So when a lender gives you that credit line, keep building on top of it. So I've done this 4 or 5 or 6 times with my Chase Sapphire Preferred. And I mean this not in the bragging way, but I think I have like a $60,000 credit line on my Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is awesome. And I'm like super proud of that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go spend $60,000.
No.
But God forbid if I needed to put a new transmission in my car, I know that my Chase Sapphire will go through and I will figure out how to pay for it later.
Or buy a new car, actually.
Or
You
I could
could
just
just
buy a new car. Yeah. What's funny? So I just wrote an article, a big question among people. Can I buy a car with a credit card? Yeah, you
Yes.
can.
Yes, I've done
Yes,
it.
you can.
Yes, you
So
can.
my most recent car purchase, I put $5,000 on a credit card, and then I've got an auto loan for the remainder. I just had a friend put $10,000 on a credit card. You just have to ask the dealership, hey, what's the maximum I can charge? And typically it's only a certain percentage. But way back in the day, my mom actually charged her entire BMW to a credit card and then obviously paid it off.
Yeah, I did
So it
that.
is possible. Yeah. And you've done it too. So my girlfriend just did it recently, about a month ago. So it definitely is possible.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you even are getting 1% back on like $5,000. What is that, 50 bucks?
That's 50
Like
bucks back.
you might as well just do that instead of giving him that. Yeah, when I went to
Yep.
buy my Accord, I can't remember what the deal was, but it was like there were no fees. There were credit card fees unless you put the whole thing on the credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I couldn't just put the down payment. I had to pay for the whole thing, and so I did. Yeah, I checked my Bank of America is at 40. I'm not at 60, but it's at $45,000. I was like,
Yeah.
dang,
And that's
that is
great.
insane. Like when I was a kid,
Yeah.
that would have been like the most astronomically bizarre. And by the way, it's like I think under $1,000 every month that I put on it.
Yeah.
But you know what's
Yeah.
funny? So actually, I reached out to you when we bought this house because we were looking for 0% cards just to like spread the
Mm-hmm.
pain out a little bit. And my husband applied for one. I'm sorry, he didn't apply for the ones that you told him to, which he should have.
Of course
He
not.
applied for the one that my dad's been telling him to have for like 5 years. It's this Discover card, and they like it
Mm-hmm.
rolls through quarterly the different
Yeah.
things that you get extra. And so we're like, fine, we're finally gonna do this, right? They give him $2,000, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What?" And they said he has so much outstanding credit that he doesn't use. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they only gave him $2,000. And so he
Yep. And
actually cancel
And
it.
at that, yeah, and at that point, it's
Yeah.
okay. This card's kind of useless. I'm just
Yes.
going to cancel it, and then
Yeah.
you just
That's
go
what he
to
did.
a different issuer. Again, that's my girlfriend has perfect credit. I have perfect credit. That happens sometimes where an issuer just really won't give you much to work with, but work as long as you're paying your card on time, you can continue working with them and just asking politely over time. uh, Eventually they're going to give you more money. You just have to be a good paying customer of theirs and making sure you're paying your bills on time. But more times than not, they're going to give you the money to go out and spend because their goal as the lender is that, oh, we're giving Johnny $10,000 in credit line. Hopefully he runs it up, is not able to pay it off, and then he's paying us 27% interest or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So they make a lot of their money on the interest from people that don't pay off their cards. And that's why they're able to provide all these
Yes.
rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they get paid from the vendor every
Correct.
time. Which
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about that? Like, I don't think a lot of people know that that side is actually happening.
Yeah, so there's actually some legislation going on right now
Good.
about the interchange fees and how they work. So, and again, I'm probably going to misspeak about a couple of these things, but the overarching theme here is that there's an accusation that Visa, Discover, Amex, Master or Visa and Mastercard, I should say specifically, the payment processors have a duopoly. And when you go swipe your credit card anywhere, whether it's Amazon, Starbucks, what have you, there's a few cents that go to Visa and Mastercard. And when billions and billions and billions of transactions are done, that's a lot of money that is being charged from the vendor and going to the card processor. And the argument for these fees is that that is what pays for these rewards programs. And so, what I believe the DOJ is aiming to do is lower or at least limit the interchange fees, the payment processing fees. And the argument from points and miles people like me is, oh, well, the government is stepping in and saying we're going to limit this. And then they're basically taking away the funding from these credit card rewards programs. Now, again, that's just one angle of the argument. But when you swipe your credit card, multiple people are getting paid. It's not just Amazon or Starbucks. It's Visa's getting paid, Amex is getting paid, and there's little extrapolations at each purchase. And then one extra thing that people definitely don't know is that when you use Apple Pay, it's like 0.004 cents goes to Apple, or if you have a Samsung, goes to Samsung. And again, when you do that billions of times over, that's a lot of money. And so, again, as consumers, we need to do our best to understand when you swipe that card, Aldi or Starbucks isn't getting that full $5 transaction. They're getting like $4.64 of it because they have to pay these vendors along the way.
What I'm noticing more and more where I live is there's an extra 3.5% fee
Mm-hmm.
at like restaurants if you use a credit
Yep.
card.
Yeah, and I mean, I have my own views on that. I'm not a huge fan of those fees
No.
because at the end of the day, I think these businesses are opting to use these payment platforms and they need to absorb those costs or at least just raise the price of their coffee or product. So yeah, and being here in Chicago, there's a famous thing called the restaurant fee, which I lose sleep at night over because I don't know what a restaurant fee is now. I know what the functionality is that I'm paying for the employees' health benefits, but these fees, and we could
Hmm.
probably have a whole different podcast about the real F word of personal finance fees, and I'll save my shtick for a later time. But back to the core subject, credit cards can be an extremely useful personal finance tool when used appropriately. But if they are misused, it can destroy even the wealthiest of people. We've seen millionaires go down with significant credit card debt. Um, it can be a really, really dangerous thing. Again, just like alcohol, you misuse it, it's really going to impact you negatively.
Some people truly do not understand that they have to pay all that back. Like
Yeah,
some people
people.
like they really don't understand that. And I think it was Dave Ramsey that said this, and I did think it was kind of interesting where when you pay cash, have cash in your hand, you hand it to a person and then they keep it. When you hand them a credit card, they hand it to you back and it
Yeah.
doesn't, you don't feel that sense of
There,
loss.
there are several, yes, 100%. There are, and I recognize that and I validate that. There's a lot of truth behind if you hand someone a $20 bill and they take it from you, your pain receptors in your brain do go off to some extent, like, oh, that sucks. But with a credit card, you get that plastic right back. So it's this detachment from reality. And there's a lot of science behind it. I'm just going to run up a credit card. And then when you get back from vacation, you're like, oh, I don't want to look at my credit card statement. So again, I would never shame someone that says I'm anti credit card. I pay cash with everything. I'm on the Dave Ramsey route. Honestly, good for you. Like if you have that type of very straightforward thinking and you just want to pay cash for everything, awesome. I think in certain cases it's a little risky in terms of maybe making large purchases, travel, but for going to buy Starbucks, if you're paying cash, like good for you. Like
Yeah.
I I wouldn't blame anyone for going down that route. My college roommate, wife and two kids, he pays cash for everything. He used to be in the credit card game hardcore, and he's like, it just is simpler for me. I don't shame him for
Yeah.
it.
No, exactly. That's fine.
The one other thing I will say about credit cards is that these businesses are in the business of making money, and it is their goal to keep you in debt. However, they are also your biggest partners. And what do I mean by that? So let's say you made a purchase with a vendor and you're really displeased with it, the product never showed up, what have you, you have recourse. So what does that mean? So I'm trying to think of a specific
I
example.
have one. I have
Go,
one.
go, then go
So
for it.
I bought a used washer and dryer for one of
Okay.
my rentals.
Where did you buy it?
And hmm?
Where did you
Oh,
buy it
from like
from?
local family owned business.
Okay.
And they had really good reviews. They've been in business a really long time.
Mhm.
And I was frankly probably tired of paying that that little payment every month. I was like, let me try used appliances. And they have like this 90-day guarantee and whatever.
Mhm.
And so we get them in there, and technically, like the washer is working and the dryer is working, but like the washer, it's like it would fill up and then not start. And so I like if I opened the lid and closed it, then it would start. And so
So it's defective.
something's not right. And then on the dryer, it would dry, but it would take like 2 hours per load. And I'm like,
Mhm.
working, but not right. They came out and told me there was nothing wrong with these things. And I'm like, well, now what do I do? I called my credit card company and
Mhm.
they canceled the charge. And then I'm sure the appliance company then fought it because so we were living in this duplex and we were working on it at the time. And so we were just doing laundry in the other set for a while, waiting to
Oh
see how
no.
this like all played out. And what I wanted was my money back. I wanted them to take the machines and they
Yeah,
wouldn't
you
do
didn't
it.
want broken machines. Like,
No, I was
take
like,
them.
that's just like, and they were like, well, it's a $25 restock, 25% restocking fee. And I'm like, come on. Like, we just like, can we just
No.
pretend like this didn't happen? And so
Yep.
whatever. And they're like, no. So while I know this dispute is happening between my credit card company and them, I'm like, whatever, I'll just hold on to these and I'll just wash my clothes in the other unit, which was empty at the time because we were working on the whole place. And after 60
Mhm.
days, guess what? They came and they lost the battle with the credit card company. I got my $600 back and they came and took their machines. And I was
Yep.
like, perfect. Thank you so much. That's exactly how this should have gone from the beginning.
Yep. And that is a perfect story as to when a credit card company is your best advocate. When you have bad purchases, when things go awry, when something falls apart, that that's perfect. Like that right there makes having a credit card, especially for expensive purchases, worth it. Um, yeah, I love to hear that. That's awesome.
The other thing I remembered what I was thinking about, the other thing I was going to say is let's say you want to do something to your house. Let's say you want to like do your kitchen.
Mhm.
And you're like, I can't save the $500 a month that I would need to save to be able to do the kitchen by X day. So instead, I'm going
Mhm.
to put everything on a credit card and I'm going to pay for this kitchen remodel on this credit card. But someone has run this exact scenario by me that I'm close to, and I tell them, you can't save up for it now. How are you going to make the payment after? It's not going to suddenly get better if you couldn't save before. You can't make the payment after. So just
Yep.
make sure you are thinking through these things as you're doing them because like yeah, your vacation's awesome, YOLO, I guess, but you get back, you've got to pay for that. And
Yep.
you didn't save up for it before. What are you going to do after, you know?
Yeah, and the perfect example, and again, with you and I being Floridians, is families go to Disney World. It costs anywhere from five to ten
Oh,
thousand dollars. The average
oh.
American family, I know, like gives me the heebie-jeebies too.
I
I
can't
hate
take
that
it.
place.
I cannot
But
take it.
people, families, wife, husband, two kids, just go there and swipe their credit card. It's five to $10,000. The average American can't afford a $500 emergency, and then they're sitting there like, uh-oh, like what did I just do? And then they're paying that off for the next 2 or 3 years, and it ends up costing them $15,000 in the long
Yeah.
run. And that is the slippery slope that we all play with credit cards. Like, has my credit card balance maybe gotten a little out of control here and there? Yeah, sure. Like, I'm totally guilty of that. If I go on vacation, I want to go enjoy myself, but I know that I'm going to be able to pay it off. I'm not going to carry a balance when I get home. So, do I splurge a little bit? 100%. Like, if I didn't have a credit card, would I spend a little less? Maybe. Like, but to me, having those points of miles, the convenience of it, and the consumer protections, especially when I travel, is extremely worth it.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I think for anyone, I shouldn't even say anyone. It's almost everyone at this point that has a credit card. I think consumers need to just do a much better job of analyzing this product that we touch on an almost daily basis. I've met so many people that say, "Oh yeah, I have so and so credit card. It's whatever. It kind of sucks." And it's like that, but that's something you use every day. Like if you had a pair of shoes that you didn't like, but you had to wear them every day, you'd throw them out. So you should be the same with a credit card. And the rewards that you can potentially get can be life changing. I've earned tens of thousands of dollars in both cashback, travel rewards, and have been able to travel more than anyone in my family because of it. It's changed my life, and good credit is the key to having any sort of financial success, despite what Dave Ramsey says. And I think it's a great way to set anyone up for success, but it has to take some level of discipline because there's millions of Americans walking around with $10,000 in credit card debt and they have no idea how they're going to pay it off. So everyone just use responsibly, just like any beer ad. Use responsibly.
I love that example with alcohol because it really
Yeah.
is like that. So, how can people follow you, get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter, Brett underscore Holzhauer, I believe, or without the underscore. I'm writing at biztocredit.com. And you can also follow some of the content I'm putting out on upgraded points. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm writing these days.
Okay, I'm putting that in the show notes for everybody. You can follow me on Twitter, X at Adulting is Easy, Instagram at Adulting is Easy, Real, YouTube at Adulting is Easy. If you like this episode, you'll also like episode 146, which is 6x your return with credit card rewards. And the other ones that Brett is on is episode 26 and episode 153. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Hopefully, Brett and I have made adulting a little easier for you.